Hey y'all, welcome to Team Hotel TV 2015 Football Edition. And we're entering into week 5 of Team Hotel football, and we got playoff implications going on this week. And we got some amazing athletes putting on shows, man. Last week, this Kadir Chisholm. I mean, we're going to have to stop calling it Mawson. We're going to call it Kadir.
Nah, we need to call it KFC.
KFC?
Yeah.
We go
Kadir freaking Chisholm. That's what that is.
Chisholm. I mean, this kid is making catches, toe touching, fall on the ground, ball hitting him in the chest, and he's hanging onto it. People just grabbing at his arms. I mean, it's amazing what he's doing. And another player, Shane Bartolo. Partlow. I mean, this guy, he's parting the sea down on the green field down there with his quarterback efficiency.
Unbelievable.
He is doing amazing work.
He took what he learned in the summer camps and applying it right into this league.
Man, I mean, you know, he was coachable, but now I see why Buddy kept him on his team. I mean, we tried to sway him to the Panthers a couple of years ago, and Buddy, I don't know what Buddy put up in front of him, but
he can really use him in the O-head league too.
Definitely. I don't know. Each week you're either on Kadir's side or against Kadir. I mean, which one is it?
Well, this week I told you. Last week I gave him grace.
You still think he's soft?
Yeah, he's still a little soft. Still a little soft, but hey, with that height, come on. Yeah, with that height. So hey, we're gonna go into the first games of 1 p.m. We got the Panthers versus the Vikings. Chris, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, this whole week, it's probably going to be one of the best weeks of football in the entire year. I mean, the matchups are very even. We have the Panthers, who are ranked 1 on offense and 6th on defense, whereas the Vikes are 5th on offense and 1 in defense. And so they're match up very, very well. I think the difference is the Vikings have actually been tested so far, whereas the Panthers have not. The Panthers lost 1 game against the Eagles, who are 3-1, whereas the combined records of the teams that they beat so far are 1-11. So the Panthers, they've done what they needed to do to take the step towards excellence. They needed to beat the teams that they just beat convincingly, and they've done that. Now they have to start beating elite teams, and I think they start that this week. The Vikings are doing well, but there's so much dysfunction. I don't understand. There's people being rejected and ejected and all kinds of stuff on the Vikings, and I don't know what's going on there. But the Panthers continue to march towards excellence, and whoever stands in our way, we will take care of that. And we're going to take care of that this week, 26-20. Panthers over the Vikings.
Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting week coming up. We just got over the halfway mark of the season. I believe these last 4 games that come into play are going to be really important. It's going to have playoff implication. Also this week, none of you guys mentioned, but it is the Peace Division versus the Justice Division to see which division has the most powerhouse teams. But back to about the Panthers and the Vikings, I think this comes down to which quarterback play is going to play better and who's the better quarterback. And in my opinion so far, and I think you guys can all agree with me, except for Buddy saying something's wrong with him. That what's your kid's name again? Randall. There you go. Randall is a lot better than Moses this year. He's playing way better than him. His numbers are better than him, and he's just on fire. So I think the Panthers are going to win this one, 35-32 in a close one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to start agreeing with you guys. I got a tongue lashing from the Randall fan club. I said he was overrated, and he goes out there and I believe he throws like 5-6 touchdowns this last week. So obviously he can do it. So I want to commend him. I was wrong last week. He played really well. But this is going to be the game where he really gets to, kind of prove himself, because this is going to be a stepping stone for either team. Both of these teams started off 1-3. Started off with 1 loss and now have won 3 games. So they both got a little streak going. They got some momentum going. Chris was talking about the dysfunctionalness on the Vikings, but I think they're starting to actually gel. The Vikings actually have about 5-6 receivers who has double-digit catches, so they're spreading the ball really well. The Panthers, on the other hand, have 3 players who have about 80% of their catches, and that's Miles, George, and Rodney. So they're not really spreading the ball too well. I know Rodney is starting to split time at running back with what's his name? Nasir. So he's going to be getting involved too. But yeah, I think the Panthers got to spread the ball a little bit more around. I think they're getting a little predictable. And the Panthers, they came out this last week. They're actually number 1 in extra points.
That's really important.
Yeah, it's really important because that can determine the game. And even last week when they put out their twos, I mean, you had players like Jacob. I mean, you guys he's going to be a future star in this league who really stepped up and played a really good game on both sides of the ball. So in this game, it's going to be a nice matchup. I mean, you got Heck and Chris going against each other. And then you got the defense and offense, like Chris mentioned. And in this game, who? Eric. Oh, and Eric, yeah. But oh yeah, Eric.
It's hard to see you
We
on
talking about
Saturdays.
offense and defense. You coach
On
the
the
defense.
sideline,
Defense
it's hard to
struggling
see
a
you.
little bit.
My defense ain't struggling.
Well, you score points though.
It's not
But I got the Panthers winning this one, 36-13. I think Randall's finally going to live up to his potential.
Good picks. I like what you all said about both sides, and I think it's going to be an excellent game. We're going to see who's the better coach. I think it's going to come down to a game of chess with the coaches. All right, let's go to that next 1 o'clock game where we have the Colts and the Cards.
Yeah, so we're at an interesting point, and we're at the halfway point of the season. We have 4 more games to go. And in the second half of the season, I have some bold predictions that I want to say. And I think right now we have 2 teams that have no wins at all. And then we have, 3 teams that have 1 win. And so as I look at those guys, I think it's safe to say the Saints, I mean, really, they're only 1 game out from several others. And so, but in reality, I just don't think this is their year. I think it's safe to say they're probably going to be in the Poor 4. But my bold prediction is I think that the Cardinals are actually going to make the grade 8 this season. And I think the teams you have to look at are the Colts, the Cardinals. We have to look at the Lions and the Ravens. I think those are the 4 teams that are going to be looking at who's going to fall into the Poor 4 of those 3. Which one of those 4 are going to make the grade 8? I think it's going to be head-to-head. So these matchups are huge. And so if Cardinals lose this game against the Colts, they're done. They're in the Poor 4. It's a lock. There's no way they're going to win beyond that. But against the Colts, if you look at the Cardinals' schedule, they play the Colts, the Ravens, the Raiders, and the Lions. Ooh. If they lose to the Raiders, big deal. They have the Colts, Ravens, Lions. They win those 3 games. They get their 3 wins. They get the tiebreakers. They get into the grade 8. The Colts, again, if they win this one, they're pretty much in. They have a lock because they also play the Saints, and it shouldn't be a problem getting in. So my bold prediction is I think it's a time for the Cardinals to turn around right now. This is the game. The Cardinals are going to win. Now's the time, and I think they do it, and I think they get into the grade 8, and this is their start, 26-19 Cardinals.
I got to agree with Chris here. I think the Cardinals are going to win and pull this one out. I think they win 27-20. I look back at last year, and I noticed that the Cardinals, they have a similar start to this year. I mean, they started out slow at the beginning of the year. They lost their first 3 or 4 games by 2 or 3 points each game. And, I think that kind of hurt them later on. So I think this game coming up is really important. I think they need to win this one to make it to the grade 8, like Chris was saying. Otherwise, they can see themselves falling into that Poor 4 category. So, I mean, I hope Cornell and his crew can get it together because, Musa is a heck of a quarterback. He's going to Penn State and everything.
Yeah, the Cardinals almost was able to sneak one away from the Cowboys, but Moose didn't come. He didn't come in the beginning of the game and about halftime, and then you had Dante, who was ineligible to play this week due to probation from his parents. So Dante, pick it up. But yeah, I think with the Cardinals, they're an offensive team, and they just need to find a way to get stops on defense. They need to get some turnovers. Right now, their interception totals is way down from where it usually is. They only have 3 sacks all this year. And they can grab flags on defense, but their guys are not in the right position. They're not really playing an aggressive zone.
So what are they playing?
To be honest with you,
looks like a makeshift.
Yeah, it looks like they want you to attack the middle with the big gaps there, but I think they got to change it up. Put guys to cover the gaps early. Don't let the quarterback get those easy throws.
I think they're trying to imitate the Seahawks defense. I see one safety over top, except that the corners don't back all the way up with the Cardinals.
They need to look again because they're not doing it exactly right. But I think with the Cardinals, I think the quarterback play has been really good. I think the wide receivers need to also pick it up a little bit. They're a little inconsistent dropping passes, and they're very talented. So the quarterback, and see, the one thing I like about Moose is that even if his players drop the ball, he'll go right back to him, and I never see him show any kind of anger towards his players or anything like that. So he keeps it cool. So the other players are just going to have to step it up if they really want to make a hunt for the playoffs. Now, the Colts, on the other hand, I believe they're a defensive team. They really haven't scored a lot of points this year. I think they're able to do real well when their defense is playing well. Chris has been stepping out of quarterback, struggled a little bit this last week. But I think they have to keep their opponents under 4 touchdowns if they want a chance to win because they just don't have everything on offense together. I think they're a little too predictable on offense. When you know it's 3rd and long, you know it's going to Charles, and so you just kind of prepare for it. But I think they just got to kind of switch it up a little bit, and then. Defensively, too, with Chris being a rusher, I mean, he only has, I think, 2 sacks this year. So that's another thing that, they have to kind of pick it up. I also wanted to talk about Renee. I don't know if you guys know Renee. Renee is number 0. He's got a big mouth and does all this talking. But this past week, he actually had a good game, and he backed it up. So I give him credit. I think he had 2 touchdowns and an interception. So he could just try to keep his team together. This season is far from over, like you said, Chris. So in this game, I'm gonna ride with the Colts on this one. I got them winning 27-26, 1-point game.
Wow. I think the fact that what's the kid's name again? The quarterback?
Musa.
No, from the Colts. Chris.
Yeah.
Chris playing on both sides of the ball. I think it's having a little toe on him, running around all day playing quarterback and then trying to sack other quarterbacks. I think they should sub him in and get another rusher and then let him play some downs when it's important. Because I think him trying to do offense and defense is playing a little too much. Because, sacker is really pointing on defense the same way quarterback is really a defense. And he's running around on both sides of the ball.
That's the first good point he's ever had, I think. Yeah.
Another thing I see on both teams' sidelines at the halftime, there's always some turmoil in the halftime huddle, on both sides. And I think once the coaches grab them and get a hold to them, it's going to be a good game. The other thing is the Cardinals are a very young team, and I think they're going to be a very up-and-coming team in the future. So they're just going to, if they lose this game, it's a rebuilding year for them. All right, so let's go to that last game for the first half of the picks, which is the Eagles and the Raiders.
Great matchup. We have the big 3 have fallen. So the Cowboys, Eagles, and Raiders have all lost a game this year. The Raiders lost. They looked completely overmatched by KFC, Kadir freaking Chisholm. My man is going up on everybody. And even though the Raiders are fast, they do not have the ability to jump. There's times they weren't even trying to jump with them. And I think that, they're a real problem. I think what the Seahawks have done is show that they are the real deal, that they're here to stay, and they're going to be a problem. And I think they're going to be contenders. When I look at the Raiders and Eagles, I think one of the things that's intriguing to me is Bryant as a quarterback. And I want to put that out there. I think there's a debate that needs to happen. Is he better than Bryant? Bryant maybe could throw a little bit. Yeah, but
who?
Bryant Keel.
Oh, the ref.
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I think Bryant could be the best Eagles quarterback that there's ever been in Team Tail history.
Over Leroy.
I think when it's all said and done, I think maybe Leroy's a little better passer, but the things that he does with his legs, the way he keeps the ball alive, is very impressive. And he's a playmaker, and I think he's only getting better. He's night and day better than he was last year. Night and day. I mean, when you got him throwing to people like Teddy, you know what I mean? It's good stuff. But this game, I think my bold prediction for both of these guys is I think this is the first time in a long time that none of the big 3 win a division matchup at all. They will not win the division. Eagles, Raiders, and Cowboys will not win their divisions. There's not even a chance of it. Raiders win this matchup, though, 25-24. I think it's hard for the Raiders to lose back-to-back.
You mean cross-division matchups, right?
No, I'm saying in their divisions. I'm saying in their divisions at the end of the year, none of them are going to win.
All right.
So, yeah.
I don't know if Bryant, not Keel, the other Bryant, the one that's currently playing, will be the best quarterback in Eagles history. I think Leroy and Bryant set a pretty high mark, but he can probably be one of the best overall players there is because, he's making plays on both sides of the ball, not necessarily with his arm, necessarily with his feet. He's catching interceptions, taking them to the house. He's waiting for defensive blitz, and he's running. I think if you don't blitz and you force him to pass, I think he loses the game for them. All he wants to do is run the ball. So I think Bryant isn't that good of a quarterback. I think he's better at running the ball. So I think the Raiders are going to pull this one off 19-18. I think when there's a close game like that, Bryant lets his legs get in his head, and he's going to try to run it in again. And I think the Raiders are just going to pull his flag like the Seahawks did, and they lose in the close one.
He did that before, right?
Yeah, he definitely did.
They match up, they're the same height.
Like I said, he can't depend on his arm. He can't throw the ball. He depends on his legs way too much. And I just think that Rob and his coaching staff, they're a little hurt from last week. Lost, and I think they're going to be prepared this week, and they're going to come and bounce back. And I think Jeff and Smoke and all of them going to come and bring their A game this week.
Yeah, I think you guys talk about Brian. Brian is a great athlete. I don't know if he is a great quarterback, He only has 11 touchdown passes. The Eagles' offense is down from years in the past. I mean, Leroy will put out outstanding numbers out there. Yeah, so I don't know.
You're saying what I'm saying.
I said, I don't know if he's the best. I mean, I think he's just athletically, he's really well. I think what he can do with his feet makes you want to, like you said, question whether you want to blitz him, or if you are going to blitz him, prepare for that run because he wants to take off. He wants to go down the field. And defensively, he's been able to get interceptions and pick sixes this year. Him and Teddy are kind of the anchors at safety. And then you have Julius in the middle who, grabs everyone's flag. I think he's leading the league in tackles this year. But then the piece that they added they added Freddie's brother Ant. And he seems like he has the potential to eclipse his brother's marks of pass. And I think he is going to be a real big difference maker in this game. Yeah, so I think the Raiders, I think they learned, like you said, from their last game. But what I want to say, too, about the quarterback from the Raiders is Smoke actually impressed me this last week. This was a big game for him, and he actually came through for the most part. He wasn't able. He just ran out of time at the end. I think defensively they let him down, but he put up the amount of points to win it.
More than 3 touchdowns, right?
Yeah, he definitely threw more than 3 touchdowns this week.
First time.
And they lost. But so I think that they're going to rebound, and I got the Raiders winning this one 33-20.
About time.
Wow.
How you doing, Eric?
Yeah, that's impressive picks, fellas. But that's going to do it for the first half selection of Week 5 picks. Stay tuned for the second half.